All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Got a few people still coming in through the waiting room, so I'm going to try to let them in as we kind of get started here.
And sign into the chat.
Yep. If you could put your name into the chat box, that'd be great. Sandra keeps attendance logs of who actually attends these sessions, so we appreciate you. Whoop, appreciate you guys doing that. So hopefully everybody had a good holiday weekend, had a little chance to rest, maybe get your certifications done. I will mention that the FFM certification for 2026 has not yet launched. So we're all, and many of us are in a holding pattern. I see Zane here and other new agents that are getting started that we're just like waiting on that. In the past, that has launched in late July, early September. So it seems odd that it's taking so long. I've tried to use AI to figure out why. I've Googled it, and I can't figure out why they haven't launched it yet. But we're hoping. I did hear something through another channel the mid-September here. So hopefully in the next week or so, that FFM certification will be launching. And we'll be sure and notify you on that. I'd also ask for those of you who are involved in Medicare and getting certified, and especially in the Medicare space this year. If you guys, we have a document on the Google Drive so that we can track where you're at with that. It's self-reporting, so it means you got to go in and check the boxes as you get certifications done. I got a handful done over the weekend. Still have some more to do, but I need to update it as well. But I wanted to ask you guys to go ahead and update that and keep that updated as we work through the next 4 weeks here, kind of prepping for the AEP season. And just to really clarify here, for those of us who are involved in Medicare, our world starts spinning pretty fast on October 1st because we have the pre-enrollment period from October 1st to October 15th, and then we can begin enrolling people in Medicare plans for 2026 starting on October 15th. For those of you who might be new agents on the call or are really focused on the under 65 space, you've got a little bit longer window before the craziness begins because the ACA open enrollment season starts on November 1st and then runs through January 15th. So for those of you who are newer agents, you've got a little bit, you've got that extra month in there where we can work on getting some transactions under your belt, getting you familiar with VanillaSoft and all the quoting and enrollment tools and all of that. So one other quick announcement I just wanted to make is there have been there's some work being done specific to the short-term regulations. If all of you remember a couple of weeks ago, the Trump administration basically said we're no longer going to enforce the 4 month cap on short-term policies. We're going to kick it to the states. Some of our carrier partners, including Allstate and Pivot Health, jumped out on this and started selling tri-terms immediately. We asked that everybody at Health Markets hold off because there was not confirmation on a state-by-state basis as to what each state was going to do. So our legal team has now reached out to all 50 states, and we have given them until I think it's next Monday, September 8th, to respond to us. And if they don't respond, we're going to take that as confirmation that we're okay to begin selling longer duration short-term products. There have been a couple of states that have already responded. North Carolina was one of them and said, nope, we're not going to allow anything more than 4 months. So it's going to be a state by state basis on how this whole short-term thing kind of rolls out. I would ask that you hold off on selling anything longer than 4 months right now. I just think it puts us in a precarious position if we happen to sell a product in a state where it's not approved. And that very well could happen because all states going gung ho on this. I would expect after next Monday that United Healthcare would come out with their new version of their extended short-term plans in the states where they think that it's legal to sell it. And we'll have more updates coming in around that, over the next week or two. So I do hope that 12-month and 24-month and 36-month short-term plans may be a viable option for many of our clients starting in 2026. Those products have historically been about 50% of the cost of a raw unsubsidized ACA premium. So for our healthy and wealthy clients, short term's not for everybody because you do have to be healthy to get it. It's underwritten and it typically doesn't cover pre-existing conditions and it doesn't cover preventative services and it's not HSA approved. There are some downsides to it. But for those clients who simply don't want to pay the new enhanced rates that we expect to see in the individual ACA business, it might be a viable option. Those of you in Michigan, candidly, I don't have a lot of hope that the state's going to do anything different. They have always limited short-term durations to 6 months in the state of Michigan. So something might change, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. For those of us in Indiana and operating in other states, though, there should be some enhanced opportunities around those short-term extended policies. So, are there any questions about that before I move forward?
Nothing in the chat, Silas.
Check the chat.
Yeah, check the chat. Check the chat. Say that fast.
Yep, I don't see anything in the chat. So,
No, nope. We've got 55 people on today. This is awesome.
yeah, appreciate you all joining. And I know VanillaSoft is a hot topic, so that's really where I want to focus the majority of our time today. I am going to be in Dallas next week, and so Sandra, I might need your help with hosting ADT. I'm trying to get a VanillaSoft representative or Sally Newton to come into next Tuesday's training. I think we've got to continue to work on, embracing VanillaSoft, learning VanillaSoft, and figuring out how we're going to leverage it in our own practices. Today, I want to go through a number of things that I've just learned and I want to show you and tell you about. I've also asked Nikki and Megan to be on the call with me, primarily because they've been the two staff members on my team that have really dove into the system and have been using it daily and trying to figure it out. I'll tell you my preliminary thoughts right now are that it's an incredible platform, that it will be, I see the end vision of where we're headed. And I think if you're a single practitioner, so you don't have staff members, you don't have assistants, you don't have sub agents, I think you should be jumping on it and embracing it, including leveraging the VanillaSoft phone number, the soft phone they call it, that's on there. I just think there's a lot of upsides to really embracing the system if you're a single agent. I think the people that are having the most difficulty right now are those of us who have staff members, whether it's assistants or sub agents. There's just some things that we're working through logistically on how to share information and how that all works. I think one of the nice things about VanillaSoft is that we don't have to completely abandon any other outside technologies that we're currently using. We can continue to use VanillaSoft as the CRM tool that it was built to be, without leveraging every single piece of it. I will tell you for my own staff, we are going to maintain a few outside third-party technology pieces through the end of the year at least. One being our phone system. We have a phone system. I have 6 staff members or 5 staff members that are actually on that. So we're not going to disturb that right now. There's not a great way inside of VanillaSoft for you to have a tree of phone numbers or extensions or things like that. So we're not going down that path quite yet until they can kind of clean that up a little bit. We're also probably going to hang on to our Calendly. I would tell you if you don't have Calendly,
Good morning, this is Dan.
good morning, Dan. I'll mute you. um, that was a very strong introduction. Nice job, Mr. Blackator. So you're good. So I do think that the Calendly functionality, if you don't have Calendly or you're not using Full Slate, I think it functions well inside of the VanillaSoft system, and I'd encourage you to use it. For me, the only reason that we're hanging on to Calendly a little bit longer is because Calendly does integrate with Zoom. And so I can have a consumer who's trying to schedule an appointment with me or one of our staff members. They can go onto our Calendly account and they can book it by telephone, the appointment, an in-person appointment, or they can schedule a Zoom meeting. And what Zoom does is it integrates with Calendly and it actually automatically sets up the Zoom meeting and sends out the invitations and everything. So that's a real value to me. The calendar system or Calendly-like system inside of VanillaSoft does not integrate with Zoom like that. You'd have to go set up your Zoom meeting and copy the link and then put it in, to the invitation inside of VanillaSoft. So there's a couple of things like that where it's just not fully functional. But I think one of the beauties of this is that as we roll it out, those of us who have other systems and other processes, we can feather things in over time. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Now, if you're a new agent, or again, a single agent running your own practice with no additional help, I would encourage you to leverage all of those different pieces because the integrations are valuable. I think about when we get into the selling system or season. If you're using your VanillaSoft phone number, that's going to be much easier to take live transfers from because that live transfer is going to pop up. You're taking it on your VanillaSoft. It's all going to integrate. The calls will be recorded. If you're doing it through your VanillaSoft, all calls are recorded. If you're doing it through your VanillaSoft soft phone. The other thing that I think about is when you get into the busy season, like if you have VanillaSoft up and running and someone calls you on your VanillaSoft soft phone, that record should pop to the top as that person's calling. So it's like putting that person right at the top as they're calling in. So I think there's a lot of upsides to fully engaging if you don't have other platforms and systems that you're using. So before I move any further, is there any questions around my thoughts around that, or does anybody have any comments or thoughts? Justin, go ahead.
So if we're using the VS Connect and those calls are recorded, we need to tell everybody that the call is being recorded. Within like the first 30 seconds, is that right?
Yeah, I think it's the first minute, first 60 seconds is my
Okay.
understanding, but it's not a bad idea. Yeah, to just say, hey, just FYI, this call is being recorded for quality purposes, you know? Um,
Okay.
so yeah, that should, and I'm not certain if there's any sort of a whisper on there when they call in saying it's being recorded or anything like that on the VanillaSoft side. That's actually a good question that I will add to the list. Um, I'll find that out and figure out what that is and then what the best practice is. But yes,
Now,
I yes.
and then if we do a conference call with the marketplace and we connect with the marketplace, would we then also have to tell the marketplace that our call is being recorded?
I don't know.
Because they're recording it too.
It's like double recording, right? Everybody's recording. Yeah, I don't know that, but I can get some answers on that. That's great. And part of today is I did want to get questions we didn't know the answers to, so that we could, get them escalated to the right people and get some answers back too. So, any other questions before we move on? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here, and I've got a couple of things that I wanted to go through. The first one is I wanted to congratulate you and thank you all for your engagement. This is can you guys see my screen okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is a breakdown of the VanillaSoft utilization through 828. And so we were one of the first teams to roll out, but you can see we're AM South Bend here. We have about 130 appointed agents on our team, and we've had 76 of them log in. So we're at 58% participation right now. We've attempted about 403 calls. We've sent 409 emails. We've sent 706 SMS. And we've had total dispositions of about 4,400 total dispositions in the system. So this is just a snapshot. Now, a couple of things that I would say, first of all, kudos because we have the highest engagement as far as agents that have logged in. The company is running about 40%. Now, that being said, we were phase one and there was phase two and phase three rollouts. So some of them haven't really fully rolled out yet. So that's part of it there. But I'm proud that we're at this point. But I'm also a little worried because we've got 42% of the agents on our team who have not yet even logged into VanillaSoft, which is concerning. I think we've got to figure that out. And I would just ask if you're on the call and you haven't logged in, first step is you got to get logged in and get things set up. And there is a call this afternoon around that you should jump on if you have not gotten things set up yet. But I did want to give you guys kudos because we've done a really incredible job compared to the rest of our peers across the country. So I did want to touch on that. I also wanted to make sure that all of you know where the recordings are. So if you come into the Resource Center and you click up here on the top on the Learning Center, and then you click on Brainier, which is our learning platform, and then you come down within Brainier, right on the main page here is the VanillaSoft how-to videos. And I would encourage you guys to go through those. I skipped a couple at the beginning just because we were someone were setting up and I was already set up. But some of the ones as you get deeper into it, I've started listening to them. I think I've gotten through almost all of them now. I did it over the weekend and last week as I was working out in the mornings, I just had them running so that I could like just, and I picked up each one I listened to, I picked up something, some little tidbit about like, oh, that's how that works. Oh, that's where I find that. Or, oh, there's the button to actually do that. So I just think I know a lot of us are busy, and it was hard for me as well with all our certifications to find the time to sit down and do these. But early morning, late evening, while you're driving, while you're working out, while you're mowing the lawn, maybe while you're standing in the shower. But there's times that you need to feather these into your schedule so that you have a good understanding. They're very well done videos. And they rolled out some new ones last week. So they're continuing to roll out new videos. And I just encourage you to really stay on top of those. Something else that I wanted to point out, which Megan helped me with. So I was trying to figure out, we have all these dispositions over here on the right-hand side. And if you click the top results one, that takes you obviously to the bigger list of dispositions here on the left-hand side. But I think it's really important for us to begin to understand what each one of these are. I will tell you the one that I have been using the most is the custom follow-up date and time. For me personally, unless I'm dispositioning something as a sale or we're kind of closing it out, anything that requires some sort of a follow-up, I'm doing custom follow-up date and time. And the reason that I do like this particular code is because it does allow me to stipulate exactly when I want something to happen. But more importantly, because I have staff members on my team, this is where with this code, I have the ability to assign that to someone else on my team so that it comes up in their queue of things to do at the date and time that I prescribe it to come up in their system. I am also putting comments and notes in here, especially if I'm passing it off to someone else on what the activity or the action is that I expect them to take on that. Because I do think that's important that when Megan or Nikki or Sandra, pulls this up and it shows up to them, they want to be able to go into the notes and see what my instructions were on what needed to be done. Whether it was following up on documents that we need or following up on a quote for cancer insurance or whatever it might be, I want to make sure that I notate those in there. So I have been using this custom follow-up date and time almost exclusively. Now, I'm not saying I'm a power user by any stretch of the imagination here, but that's something that we kind of latched onto. The other thing that I knew it was here and I could not find it, and thank you to Megan for finding it, is if you come in here under the script page and you scroll down to the bottom here, right here are your result details, which you can click on. And this gives you the result codes and actions. So it tells you based on how you disposition or result something over here, what each one of those are. And they seem to be in pretty good order. Actually, they're not in exact order over here. They might be in the exact order on the second screen. But this is something I think you should just sort through here and figure out and understand exactly what each one of these dispositions is going to do. One thing that I noticed as I looked at this over the weekend is if you scroll down here to the bottom, there are a couple of things. First of all, customer touch is a new one. So no follow-up. Client touch point is logged, but no follow-up or additional actions are required. Removed from the next best action queue. So that one, and then notes only. So no change to action or user, does not change owner or assign an action. Designed for agent assistant or multi-agent use cases. Only used when manually accessing a record. Will not route the next record after use. So this is where you're just like logging something on the record and you don't want it to disturb any future activities that might be scheduled. So that's nice as well. And then down here at the bottom, we did add a deceased one because agents were asking for that. So I think that's important. And then last but not least, I'm kind of interested to work with these, but there's 3 different nurture 1, nurture 2, nurture 3. And I think this is going to be pretty cool because this is going to be something we'll be able to manually configure exactly what we want to have happen. So, maybe there's 3 different types of scenarios where we want to build out some sort of a nurture plot or sequence of emails and texts and things like that going out to that particular lead. So I don't know exactly what the use cases on that might be yet, but I do think it's nice to have the functionality to do that. And I think we'll be doing some advanced training around building on that all out. Health Markets is in the process right now. I would expect it to come out this week for us to have kind of a corporate bundle that we can use of emails and texts as new leads come in and also post-sale type stuff, a thank you follow-up and a happy birthday and things like that. Right now, there's no like automated systematic like trickle or drip campaigns that are set up, but we're hoping to have that ready to rock and roll here very early this week. So I wanted to show you kind of where those codes were because I did have trouble finding those, and thanks to Megan for that. I also wanted to do a couple of other things. One is I have a list of open items that I've been asked not to like just blast it out to everybody, but just to be transparent with you all, I'm going to share with you some of the things that are on the development list right now that they're actively working on, just so you guys know. They're working on a lot of the things that we've given feedback on. But before I do that, I wanted to ask Megan and Nikki, or Nikki, is there any other tidbits or things that you guys have stumbled into as you've been working inside of the system that you think might be sharing with the larger team?
I can't think of any.
Yeah, nothing has stood out to me that you haven't brought up.
Right.
Covered it all. You guys are making me look good here. So I guess that's part of your job. So well done. Well done. Well, feel free to chime in as I kind of work through things here and walk through some of the stuff that we're working on. Um, okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to pull up and walk through with you guys just kind of verbally an overview of things that we're working on, and then we'll open it up for other questions and issues. So let me pull this up so I can see it okay. So a couple of things that have been brought up is one, right now the system is flagging anybody who's on the DNC, it's flagging it as DNC every time you try to make the call and you have to override that, right? And there is an override button where you just click on it and it says basically this is a customer or you're guaranteeing that you have permission to contact this person. And then it's allowing you to do whatever you need to do. But it's an extra step in there and it's just extra precaution. But obviously, if they're current customers or they're a lead that's less than 90 days old, it should not be flagging them for DNC, even though they are on the DNC, because we have permission to contact at that point. So there's active development going on right now where the VanillaSoft team is actually working through exactly what that looks like and making it so that we don't have to override the DNC every single time. There is a lot going on within the sponsor agent channels. So those of us that are, have sub agents and things like that, one thing we're looking at is considering making assistants admins for the sponsor project. So like if I could, and I've suggested this, if I could make Megan an admin on my project, that would give her the visibility that she needs. And we're hoping to do that in a large sweep so that basically assistants can see exactly what their sponsor agent sees, as far as what's coming up in the queue and things like that to be able to work it. I think about that queue that's being loaded for me every single day. Right now, I'm not the one actively working that. Megan is, because she's kind of the first point of contact within our agency. She's the first person reaching out, those types of things. So that's something that we're working on as well. And I'm hopeful that maybe even this week that might happen. So. Um, we're looking at how to do mass emails as well from the system. Mass emails are always problematic because when you send out, I mean, some of us have thousands of people in our CRM, and so if multiple health markets agents started doing that, we could start getting flagged for spam and shut down so that we can't send any emails. So there's a delicate balance going on there. But today there's some modeling and testing going on around how we can actually do that. There's also today they're working on some testing so that you can pull up new leads a little bit more easily so that you can see exactly the newest leads that have come into your system and sort just by those. They're also working on details on why a lead pops up to be worked so that right on the main screen you'll be able to see what's the reason this got queued up for you. I think that's a really important one. Let's see. They did get the result codes updated, so we got a bunch of updates on there. So I think that's done. Um, they're working on live transfers, just how we can do that because right now, I mean, you could take live transfers on your mobile phone or you could take them on VanillaSoft. It works better if you're taking them on VanillaSoft, but obviously that's a little bit problematic if you're not sitting in front of your computer, right? So we're trying to figure out some workarounds how you could take live transfers on your mobile phone, but it would almost be like taking them on VanillaSoft, which I think is really good. Mid-September, they are working on business rules and everything to do another massive data migration. So there's a lot of records that did not get moved over. Some of them were by design. Some of them were, in my opinion, probably just a faulty migration when it's all said and done. But there's absolutely another migration coming over here in the next week to 10 days. So we will have a lot of additional data in there. One thing that my team is doing is we have a separate Google Docs spreadsheet that we're running just of missing information in VanillaSoft. So if we run into somebody that we know as a client or something like that, and they're not in there yet, we're just keeping a tally of that in a separate document that we can all input data into so that once we do the second migration, we can then verify that all that data has actually been added. So that's kind of important. Um, we're working on updating the SMS templates and the email templates, so that'll be very done very quickly. They're also working on getting us a read-only version to the old Agent Connect CRM platform. I think that would be great because I think there's some data in there that we just don't have access to right now that may or may not end up getting migrated over. So if we could just have read-only access, I don't think it's a great idea to be able to be making updates in two different systems because that's going to get super confusing. But if we could go back and look at something in the old system on a read-only basis, I think that would be super, super helpful. Um, we talked about the corporate bundle. Um, that should be done this week. Um, let's see here. I'm just going down through these to make sure which ones are even pertinent to us. Yeah, we've got some of these already done, like the triggers that are set to no action. So the dispositions on that.
So Silas, are you sharing your screen?
No, I'm not.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
I was asked not to share this document. That's why I'm just sharing it with you verbally.
No
So
worries.
that's, yeah, I'm flipping down through the list of stuff.
And while you're doing that, Maggie mentioned that she only has 99 contacts that crossed over to VanillaSoft, so she's hoping more will cross over soon.
Yes, me too. I do think the original data that was moved over were supposed to be contacts and clients that have been actively worked in the last 3 years. That's what was supposed to come over. We noticed that some of that was missing. So yes, hopefully though, in the next 7 to 10 days, we'll have a lot more data actually coming over. And that was one of the things that agents are missing: clients, leads, or data from their book of business. One other thing that has come up is like if you get served up a new lead in the queue and it's at the top and you're like, I don't even want to deal with this right now, or it's something, you can actually just result that as follow up tomorrow, or like you can just push it out. So that is one thing that I think was helpful. Megan and I kind of went through my VanillaSoft and on that queue and started distributing things out and either saying follow up later or scheduling follow ups for staff members to do things. Um, and I kind of feel like once you get into the flow of it, and we've got stuff and we're scheduling things appropriately for assistants and sub agents and things like that in the system, and then they're coming up inside of their queues, that this flow is going to get better. But in the beginning, I think about it, especially from a sponsor agent perspective, like pretty much everything that was due in my system is coming up as due under me, or maybe that wasn't how it was set up in the old system. So I feel like for those of us who are sponsor agents, there's a little bit of cleanup to do. And I think it would be worth your time each day to kind of go through, that queue of leads and not just let them sit there, but get them dispositioned, either, kick the can down the road a little bit and have it come back up a day or a week down the road, or schedule a callback for your assistant or your sub agent to do. Megan, do you have any more commentary on that? Because I know you've been helping me kind of navigate that and get that cleaned up. Is that something that seems to be working okay?
Yeah, I would, if you have a staff, I would recommend probably doing that if that's how you handled your to-do list before. I will say at some point, like through the day, you run out of things, and then I don't know what's been getting served up to us is T65. I don't know what would get served up to everyone else. But then that's kind of how I know I've made it through all of the things that we had to get done.
The other thing that somebody had noticed is that all the phone numbers that were brought over from the old system were brought over as home numbers, so it's hard, so you can't text them if it's logged in the home phone number. There is a request to have live transfers feed into the mobile instead of the home, and then do a cleanup on those so that we can get the mobile numbers, moved over into the mobile category. So um,
We do
there.
have a comment in the chat, and I'm not sure who BCCMA is, but Silas, you might have already said this, but if we had individuals who we have worked with in the past but have not sold them products, will those be migrated over? I have several individuals I've worked with the past couple of years and told them to sit tight where they were, but they would be meeting again this year. Who's
Yes,
BCCMA?
I don't know who that is.
Oh, it's Cindy. Cindy
Oh,
Main. Hi,
yeah.
Cindy.
So my understanding is in this next migration, all of that kind of stuff will be brought over. I mean, that's the goal of the next migration is to get all of that in there. I also think there were a few people on the team. I know Troy Gill was one of them, where he was using the to-do list in the old system to just literally be his own personal to-do list, but the to-dos he was scheduling were not necessarily tied to a contact. So that's we're also trying to figure out how to bring that to-do list over into the system. Or I think accessing the old Agent Connect CRM on a read-only basis could solve that problem as well. Um, so
Lauren Christie asked, with walk-in drops, I am seeing the names popping up, but no contact info has transferred over that she's entered in.
okay. If you could send me an example or two of that, like screenshots of that, so we have specific records to go back to, that would be super helpful.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, that'd be super helpful. Um,
Is anyone else seeing when you enter a note for a household that it only goes to the one person you've entered it? It's not going to the entire household?
I've noticed that, and I'm pretty sure I brought it up on one of the office hours, and he said it is supposed to transfer over, but I noticed it last week when I was working in a client's file that it didn't carry over to the wife's.
Mm-hmm. I noticed it this morning.
um, Ryan Pius asked about the calendar issue. So he had an issue where he was starting to schedule. I got to remember this, it's been a couple of days. They were starting to schedule stuff into, I think, November. And for some reason, it was scheduling it an hour off in the system for him. So I escalated that on Friday, Ryan, but I don't have an answer back on that yet. So, um, and then Nicole said I was going to start working on phone numbers moved to cells. So we think there might be a fix. Um, I think there might be a fix. The only concern I have with a fix, Nicole, is that I don't know, they don't know which one's a cell phone and which one's not, right? So I think we should be cleaning up that data as we work through it. And I would encourage you, I would also say this, part of having a clean CRM, any CRM, is like working inside of it and upgrading it as you see things that need upgraded and corrected, right? The more we're doing to filter and clean the data as we're touching it, the more clean and accurate your CRM is going to be. So I don't think, I don't know if I'd take days to switch everybody over to, their cell phone numbers, but each time you work with a client, I think that's something. And I'd ask Nikki and Megan, as you guys are looking at it too, in our system, like if we know it's a cell phone number, we probably need to move it over into that cell phone or to the mobile phone category so that we can text them appropriately.
Carrie mentioned she noticed that under her My CRM, my intellective routing filters, there is all records T65 next 9 months. I guess that's a selection you can choose. When I run this report, I'm still getting 0 contacts, which I know isn't right. Thoughts? Is she missing something? And same, Nicole ran the same thing.
That's it. That's thank you for that. I'll escalate that. I haven't heard that said before. I feel like somebody might have mentioned it in passing, but I had not heard that said before. So, um, I'm just looking through some of these additional things that we're working on.
I know I've just started. If I notice something in somebody's record, like the phone number, it's not listed as the mobile. I'm just, as I get into that record, that's when I'm changing it.
Another known issue is that the client notes that came over from the old CRM were not in chronological order. If you go into legacy notes, many
Mhm.
things are not in chronological order, and a lot of mine are like dated like 0101 1900. So they're working on a fix to get those all cleaned up as well. So yes.
There was that issue where I had entered a brand new prospect, a father with 2 kids, and then we went to quote, and one of the kids came up as the primary in Quote Connect.
So I think maybe the fix on that, Sandra, and I don't know, wanted to get with you on that, is
Mhm.
they need to be designated appropriately inside of VanillaSoft. And so
That's
I
right. They
think that
were.
was the issue. They were designated as primary and children and dependents in VanillaSoft.
Mhm.
Okay.
I
Um,
think it has since got fixed, but that was just a kind of a bizarre thing that happened. I don't know how it happened.
right. I do know I had some issues last week when I was going from VanillaSoft into Quote Connect where it was not putting people in the appropriate places. So I did escalate that last week as well. Um, I will say too that there was some good training that was done last week or the week before around the soft phone and using the soft phone in VanillaSoft and being able to set up some contacts in there for like the marketplace agent hotline and things like that so that you could conduct three-way calls very easily. There's actually two ways to complete three-way calls. One is you can actually load up two calls and toggle between them. So you can talk to someone, put them on hold, go to the other person, put them on hold, and then you can merge them. So there is capability of doing that. Or you can just set up a more traditional type of three-way call with three people on it. So there is that functionality. It's pretty simple inside of the VanillaSoft phone, but you just might need to play with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Melissa said when she was setting an appointment, they have the location set as coming to their office. On the calendar, it's then showing up as the client and the client's home address. Is she doing something wrong? I think I remember Laura Dennison and folks there having the same issue, was showing up as the home address and not the office address.
and she said it's in the calendar, right?
Right. She sets the appointment. The location is supposed to be for the office. When she sets it as office, then on her calendar, it shows the client's and the client's home address.
Yeah, we talked about that this morning at our team meeting, and we were just going to test it for ourselves to see what it actually looked like, you know, as a user, if Leslie or I would set it for a personal
Mhm.
appointment. But I don't know if that's a fix or a drop down that we can have when we set the appointment in VanillaSoft.
And then it sends the client an email with the appointment confirmation. Does it have anything in there about the location?
I don't know, but I don't want everybody thinking I'm coming to their house. I don't want them to come
True.
here.
True.
We're done with that now, right?
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah. Um, I do think it's worth noting if you're working live transfers, it would be much better to have live transfers coming in through the VanillaSoft phone. But remember, you have to go back to your profile in the Resource Center and change your phone number there for it to come through the VanillaSoft system, right? I had an agent asking me last week, they're like, I, I'm trying to take them through there, but they keep coming to my cell phone. Well, you got to go back to the profile to update that. So don't forget about that.
Do you want to talk about don't hit the delete button?
Yeah, I don't think you want to hit the delete button unless you truly want to delete something. I think one of our team members actually did that, and we're working to recover.
I
recover.
deleted myself. I've
Yes,
not been resurrected yet.
and you were a client, so
And I am a client.
yes. We're also setting things up too because there was some issues around if an assistant set an appointment. When the email went out, it came from the assistant. And that kind of ties back into making the assistant the admin for the sponsoring agent. So it was going out under the assistant's name. In our situation, it was saying they were licensed when they were not because they said licensed agent under it. And it was actually pulling an incorrect address as well. So I know that's something that they're actually working on as well. They're looking at getting agent photos into the email signature. We're working with on the health market side to kind of figure that out. They're also looking at adding additional taglines to the email signature. So, like if you wanted to put it in your LinkedIn profile or things like that at the bottom, or your Calendly link, the ability to create email templates by the agents. They're saying that that should be rolled out around 9/17. Well, we'll be able to create our own email templates, which is very good. So on 8/25 of last week, they did update the appointments by location, which it sounds like there may be some issues with that still, but we'll try to look at that and see if we can recreate some of those issues and escalate them here today as well. There was an ask that agents be able to put in a client's age without their date of birth. I don't know if I like that though, because then it becomes kind of a static field. I would rather put in dates of birth and have it, update in the system as time goes on. So I'm not a huge fan of that. And then last but not least, they're working on an analytic dashboard. And updating that, they're saying that that should be updated today, where you should be able to see like reply rate percentages and things like that as far as outgoing emails and texts and what's being opened and what's being reviewed. So there's a lot going on there as well. So that's kind of at least the list of like known issues. I think I recorded 4 or 5 different things here that I'm going to continue to ask and add on. Um, I'm just reading through the notes here or the chat to see if there's anything else. So Allison asked around the 2025. So it's shut down. It went dark. So every year with the federally facilitated marketplace training, they around July they go dark before they launch the new version of it. And so the 2025 no longer exists, and the 2026 has not been launched. So that would be an awesome workaround if we had it, but it's not available, Allison. So hopefully that answers your question there. So. I would, on all of these issues, guys, I would ask that you continue to escalate things to us. Continue to take screenshots whenever possible and let me know what's going on. There's a lot of trainings that are going on this week, and so I want to pull those up really quickly and make sure you guys are aware. Now, I don't know if all of these trainings are necessary. It just depends on kind of where you're at in the development of learning the system. I'm going to share my screen again here so we can look at the trainings that are actually scheduled for this week. I guess I'm kind of an advocate that more training is better than less. So, anything you guys can do to engage on these. But I think some of them, like getting set up in VanillaSoft, that's this afternoon at 3. And VanillaSoft Basics are at 3:30 tomorrow afternoon. And then we get into advanced training on what is that, Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. So that advanced training, I think that's more about the intellective routing, SMS drip, and email campaigns. That's probably worth jumping in on for all of us, honestly. And then there's also one at 10:30 a.m. on Friday morning. Now I know we have an Indiana sales team meeting, and so we're probably not going to be able to attend that, but that's more general questions. I've had a lot of agents ask me, where can I get help if I need it? I would tell you some of these general questions and the office hours are where you should go. Those and try to jump in early if you can and get your questions into the chat box. They're doing a good job of addressing the questions there. I would also say if there's something you can't figure out or something you're struggling with, reaching out. I would say both Nikki and Megan on my team are starting to figure out things and work around, so you're welcome to reach out to them. Sales leaders, I think we have to be the leaders on this too, as far as understanding, what the software does and doesn't do. Um, and then Amy Swanson is also somebody else that we can email. She's been on some of the trainings and things, and her email, is she's usually pretty responsive in getting back to us on certain things and certain issues as well. So,
Silas,
but yeah,
there's
go ahead.
also a sponsor agent training tomorrow at 2.
Okay,
Yeah, sponsor agent, sub agent training.
thank you. I forgot about that. I think it is on my schedule, but yeah, if you do have team, I would say that's worth jumping on because I feel like that's where the most complications actually are is trying to get that. Um, so yeah. So what questions do you guys have? I'd be interested in questions. I also wanted to ask, I know I saw, was Tony on? Letcher, you on?
He was on. I think he might have jumped off.
I don't know if he's
I'm
still on.
here.
Oh, there he is.
I know you and I talked last week a little bit and just asked how it's going for you and your team. You want to share any thoughts?
Yeah, I think we're starting to figure things out. It's so basically what I told my team this morning is stop trying to make it work like the old system because we're looking at the system and like with me and Leslie the other day, she's like, everything says open. In the old system, it was open, it was a bad thing because we wanted to close them out. In the new system, you want them to be open. So I think a lot of it's just a mindset of just getting used to everything happens in the new system for a reason. So part of what we need to learn is why is this way or that way, and learn the system so that it works properly instead of trying to force it. Some people are trying to take a square peg and put it in a round hole. It's never going to work like the old system. It's not supposed to. That's why it's a lot better because the old system, I think we're going to realize after open enrollment, this system is so much better than what we had, especially if you work the queue the way the queue is meant to be work. As I've been working the last couple of weeks, I love the queue because it's really keeping me on task to where I don't have to have a task sheet. I don't need to put stuff all over my calendar for follow-ups. The queue is telling me You know, you said to follow up with them in a day. It's been 2 days. Why didn't you follow up with them? I mean, it's just doing that automatically, moving people around in that queue to where I'm looking, I'm going, okay, why? Especially if you put good notes in there, what I'm realizing, I become so much more efficient because I'm just going in the queue, reading my note, going, oh, I need to call him. Oh, it's after the first. I need to submit his Medicare. I did that this morning. I mean, I don't have to have folders with stuff. I don't have to have stuff on my calendar. I don't need this whole list of stuff. I'm just working the queue the way it's meant to work. So we got a little ways to go, but I mean, I'm loving it. I really am.
Tony, notes are, you hit it right in the, notes are so important.
Correct. You got to put
Good
notes on
notes.
every appointment. And that's what I'm telling them. If you have staff members, that's the key is they have to go in and just put notes. If they touch base, I mean, it's going to be nice during open enrollment because you can pull something up and it's all your notes are right there in order. You're going to know every touch that your team had with them. So you can say, hey, did this get submitted or how did this work? You know, I don't have to go the old way and look other things up. It's all right there. You know, it's going to be, I think it's going to be good. We just have to, you got to use it. You know, a lot of it's just using it.
Yeah. Hey,
One
Silas.
that we have is if a staff member puts in a note other than me, they put just their initials at the end of the note so that we know who actually put that note into the system, which has been helpful. I think in the new system, like Nikki, if it was up in your queue and you did it, I think it would be labeled as you having done that. But it's nice for quick reference too.
It is labeled because we used to do the same thing. So you have to look at whose initials were in it. You don't have to do that anymore because you look at the note and it has that email or whatever for that person that put it in there.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, so it's pretty nice with the date and everything. So once again, it's speeding that process up. The key is just putting notes in, you know.
So
Well, and I'll show you guys very quickly. So if you click on my CRM, and I'm like not a power user on this, but what I'm seeing is that when you come into my unelective routing filters here and you look at these, there are some new things. And I think this is what Carrie was referencing, said she didn't have anybody who was coming up in this, but current customers, birthday in the next 30 days, these lead routing, those are kind of the things. And Justin, you asked about being able to see your IVRs. I would think that pulling up lead routing, all new leads in the last 30 days, you should be able to pull those up and then sort them by newest to oldest and be able to see, you know, those IVRs. That would be one way to do it. There may be other ways to do it too, but that would be one. And then you guys can see that the most updated router now is 1.3. This is counting up. We started 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Each time that there's a new version, they're releasing that, and then we can update it and apply that. And it's just based on things that they're learning about us. So, and then you can build out filters here as well. So, you know, I think there's a lot that can be done there. Again, I'm not an expert on that, but I do think some of those pre-set filters are there, and they're going to continue to add to those as well.
Hey, Silas, I'll say too, you know, one thing when I was talking to the guys in Austin about this system is what people don't realize is they're doing a lot of analytics in the background when we're using the system. So they're looking at what we're using the most and why we're using it and certain buttons we're clicking. So in order for them to make the system better, we got to use it. You got to use it as much as you can because they're watching us from behind the scenes going, you know, and they're going to probably reach out going, why are you guys doing this more than this? You know, whether it's like the results tab, you know, as an example, they're going to be asking us questions because they're going to have all these crazy numbers that Silas is going to be very excited about come first quarter that he's going to be going through all those numbers.
I do like to crunch the numbers.
You
Hey,
smiled
Silas.
when you said that.
It's Nicole. In that intellective routing, I've even created some filters and they don't work. I don't have anything coming up. So we think that's a fix right now, or
I don't know.
okay.
Yeah, I know that they know that a lot of those filters aren't working. I've been on several of
Okay.
the different calls, and trust me, they know a lot of those things for some reason aren't working, and they're not. I don't think they know why, so they're trying to fix that.
And I would bet there was a ton of work done over the weekend. I don't think everybody took the weekend off, especially at VanillaSoft right now. I mean, we're spending millions of dollars with them on this, and so I know that they are working very, very hard. I was on a TVP call at 9:30 this morning, and Sally said there's a ton of stuff rolling out this week, in addition to what like is scheduled already. So there'll be a lot more updates coming around that. But I'll take some of these things you guys have and put them together and batch them together and send them to Sally and Amy and just make sure they're at, you know, on the list of things to work on. Tony, I appreciate your input. Cav, do you have anything to share? I know you've been playing with the system a little bit too, and I know both you and Tony seem to be people that we're very positive about the change, where I think we had some other agents who maybe weren't quite as positive about the change. So interested in hearing your insight.
Well, I just, it's the time of the year for me where I have to start getting my scheduling link out to the Medicare people. And so obviously in a perfect world, if we could do mass, that would be great. But I'm literally just going through my contacts one at a time and I'm cut and pasting things. And I think um, I've sent out, I don't know, probably 400 texts and emails over the last couple of days, and I've already got over 100 appointments scheduled without talking to anybody. So, because the other nice thing about this is I created a Loom video kind of explaining what's going on with Medicare, so they're not panicking when they get their letters and stuff like that. And I just sent it out and just said, hey, get on the schedule, first come, first serve. And I'm up to over 100 appointments, and I started this on Friday.
That's such an efficient way to book things. I would encourage all of you, especially those of you that have large books of business that you need to manage this fall. If you don't have a Calendly, full slate, some sort of solution for scheduling, you need to get that figured out here, like in the next 2 weeks. Even if you want to use the health or the one inside of VanillaSoft, I mean that's functional as well. If you have nothing else, I'd probably use that if you don't have another system you've been using. But having something that you can email and text out to allow people to schedule and book on your calendar, that's something I'd spend some time on for sure.
Well, and again, I just kind of want to piggyback on what Tony said. It's like I can sit here and wait for them to give us the ability to do mass emails, or there's a lot of people on this call that for their Medicare clients, they sit there and stuff envelopes and send out letters. Well, I'm just I'm cutting and pasting a thing, and I'm just going right into people's things and shooting a text, shooting an email, moving to the next one, and people are responding. So don't
That's
wait around for this to work. Just figure out and do what you got to do.
that's great. So I think I answered Justin's questions. Um, so my understanding, Carrie, is that once you do curate a report or a list of names and numbers and things, you can export that to Excel. So yeah, I don't think there's a problem there. Kate, that VanillaSoft training and everybody else, you should have gotten it via email. So check your health markets incoming emails. If for some reason you didn't receive it there, that's a little concerning because that was a corporate email that went out. So maybe reach out to myself or your sales leader if you don't have it there. So Randy DeVries asked, has anyone noticed changes with Health Sherpa? So yes, I would say both Connecture and Health Sherpa. There have been enhancements and upgrades and updates and things going on that they're doing to, to enhance things. So I don't know exactly what you're referencing there. That's a pretty broad question, Randy. Are there specific things that have changed that are causing problems, or?
I wouldn't say it's causing problems, but like when I go to look at my clients, they're not listed. I've got to log out or log back in. Justin and I have been talking about this. I go back to home. I mean, it's just weird. I've just not noticed that before. So it's just curious if it's just me or maybe I'm under investigation for some some
I don't,
some
I don't think that's the case. We don't need to go there, but no, I haven't noticed anything like abnormal like that on my end. I mean, I know they've updated some things and there are constant enhancements going on, but so are you having trouble viewing your clients? Is that what it boils down to?
Yeah, I have to log out, log back in. It's like a 30-minute. Justin said there was a notification that came out that they're only allowing us to be on for 30 minutes at a time. There was a banner across the top last week.
I thought that was only like idly in for 30 minutes at a time. Like if you've got it open and aren't using it, it's a security feature where it shuts it down then. So
Maybe it's that.
Yeah, you have to just reintegrate your FFMID after 30 minutes of idle time. Correct. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's just additional security that had come in. But I don't think if you're in it and you're actively using it and you're working inside of it, I don't think it kicks you out. I think it's after 30 minutes of being idle. Does that sound like maybe the issue, Randy?
No, like right now, I can't view any of my clients.
Did you integrate with your FFM already this morning?
Yeah.
What I would probably suggest if you are having issues is to reach out directly to Health Sherpa.
Yeah.
They actually have pretty good customer service, and maybe there's something in your system or something that needs to be updated or a setting or something. And I don't hear anybody else chiming in on that, so I don't think anybody else is experiencing that. Justin,
Okay.
do you have anything else to add to that?
That happened to me until I integrated it again. So maybe you did it over a half hour ago, but right after you integrate it, you should have access to your contacts again.
I've noticed since last week that I have to reintegrate um after a little while, even though I mean it shows on Health Sherpa that I've got 10 hours left of my integration. But if I try to uh access my clients, I have to reintegrate.
Yeah, I know they're introducing a lot of additional security measures to, cut down on the fraud, waste, and abuse in the system. And I don't know that might be a part of this, but yeah, Randy, if you continue to have issues and you can't get it solved with Health Sherpa, reach out to me. Like, I just need to better understand what it is, and we can open a ticket with Health Markets too and ask them to investigate it if you continue to have issues.
Okay. Thank you.
For sure. So my hope is that next week, guys, I can have someone from VanillaSoft on, or Sally on to continue to answer additional questions. I do feel like the volume of questions that we all have are diminishing. Like, as time goes on, we're getting better and better with the system. Biggest thing I'd say is, if you haven't yet gotten into the system, get in and play with it. If you're a single user, start embracing it and using it. I mean, I'd say today would be a great day to say, from this day forward, like, this is what I'm going to do all of my work inside of, and just start to. That's the way you're going to learn it. Is just immersing yourself in it and continuing to work with it. Watch the training videos, jump on the trainings this week. And then, if you have specific things you're running into, screenshots and a good explanation of what's going on. If you want to send them to me, I'm happy to be kind of the territory clearinghouse for that, so that I can keep an eye on what issues we have and get those escalated as well.
I
So,
have a quick question, Silas.
sure.
So let's say you got 5 calls in this morning and you were trying to locate like the fourth call back. How do you find that in the CRM?
So my guess would be, Chase, that you would come in here. So this would be coming under my CRM,
Yeah.
and then click on my inelective routing filters.
Hmm.
And then right down here would be all new leads. I would think that would be a list of all the new leads that have come into your system. And then you should be able to rank order those by, like, most recent to oldest, so that you'd have an accounting there.
So when I do that, right, it says like for the past 30 days, 243 contacts. But where do I go to see that list?
Silas, just go to my CRM, go to my stats, and it shows you what you've done today.
No, I did that too. Today, it only shows one caller. Doesn't show anybody else.
If you do go to my CRM, my contacts, and then next to the project, if there's a radio button or checkbox to only show contacts due to be routed today. If they're new leads, then I would assume that they would pop up in there.
That's not, no, nothing comes up when I do that. I mean, I could check it out later. I just thought I would ask. I mean, like, how did you get those leads to come up?
So I just came into my contacts. I'm under my project, which is my personal project, and I've got these two check boxes checked. Only show my contacts due to be routed today, and then sort by routing order.
I did that and it has nothing. But I mean, I'm under Gary Boverhoff, associates, I believe. That's just what defaults.
Well, if you see, you guys should all see your sales leader up here in the top right-hand corner.
Yeah.
That's just the team that you're on. And then you know that you're in your CRM if your email address is up here in the right-hand corner. So if your email address is here, you're inside of your system.
Right.
But you
My
see
email address is there.
my
But
CRM there.
who should I reach out to about troubleshooting, like how to find leads that came in today?
So I would come in, what I would do is I would come in here and um, this screenshot right here under my contacts, show these, and take a screenshot of this page and send it to me, and just say, I'm trying to find incoming leads and they're not showing up here. The other
Okay.
thing that you might want to do is come into this here and run this report right here all new leads generated in the last 30 days. And if there's nothing coming up there, take a screenshot of that and include it in the email to me, because those would be two screenshots substantiating that you're not able to see those new leads. And then I could forward that on and try to help you figure that out.
Cool.
Chase, did you say that the project you're in was Gary Boverhoff? But yeah, did I say that right? Yeah. Association. I think we're supposed to be in the personal project.
So the top one says this project, Gary Associates, and then all projects, and then Gary Associates. So one just says his name and one says this project.
So, Nikki, I think you're in personal with me because you're on my team. I think Chase is an agent, so it should say associates under Gary.
Okay.
Because like sales leaders have two projects. We have our sales team, which is the associates one, and then we have our personal, which is our personal staff members. So
Okay, I'll send you some screenshots, Silas. Thank you.
The way
yeah, go ahead, and we'll see what we can do. Go ahead.
the way that I've been finding like live transfers and like leads that come in is I'm finding them in the lead connect, and I just search for that phone number and find them. I haven't been able to figure out you know how to get those to leads to show. Like I was asking about the IVRs. If an IVR comes in, it's pretty time sensitive. So there's no notification that we received that an IVR comes up. So until you've dispositioned or resulted whatever's currently on your screen, you're not going to see that IVR that comes up.
So that's
so-
an interesting way to think about it, and I hadn't thought about that as a potential workaround. I do have another call that I have to jump to here, but let me show you guys this very quickly. So if you come into the Agent Connect CRM, like the main screen here, right where your leads are, right up here. So like if I had wanted to look at this lead, I could open it up and crap. I don't know if that's going to do it. No, it takes you in there. You're actually pulling them from Lead Connect, right, Justin?
Yeah, I go right into Lead Connect and find the lead info, the phone number.
So when
And
I
then I
was
search
doing,
for that phone number.
when the lead comes in, that box that pops up, I quickly copy and paste their phone number.
Yeah.
And then I search that in the VanillaSoft and it pulls it up.
Yeah, that's how I've been doing it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think to Justin's point, I think those should be served up to you in your queue, like at the very top of your queue. It's just that you got to finish up whatever you're on and disposition that. And then I think a new lead should be, I mean, it really should be served up to you next.
We should have some kind of notification because I mean you're constantly being served something up. So if I'm working on certifications or something and an IVR comes in, I won't know it until I result what's currently up there.
That's good feedback. Okay, I'll send that up. That's good. I appreciate the feedback today, guys. I hope this has been helpful listening in. We're going to continue to learn on this together. I think we're doing a great job and we're making good progress. But for those of you who aren't yet in the system, I just encourage you to use the system. And then we'll come back next week. As you have questions and stuff, I'll have more updates hopefully next week. Sandra, I'm hopeful that I'll be able to host this next week, but if I can't, you might be the host. I'm not sure if I'm in the air at this time on next Tuesday or not, but I do have to go to Dallas next week for some meetings. So, well, I appreciate everybody being here. Hope you have a great week. It's a short week, so good luck getting everything done we need to. Work on those certifications and reach out to me and the team if you need anything additional. Take care, everybody. Thanks. Bye-bye.